Don Serrato's of Vernon, BC. It's your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a TD, you can win a $10,000 home theater package. If it happens twice, you can also win $1 million. Good luck, Don. Off to the pig now. Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
No, we are not kidding. This was yesterday on the prairies. Manitoba capital, southern Manitoba, blanketed by a sudden snowstorm, and today all systems go. Happy Thanksgiving, Canada. And we are thankful that we've got football.
Absolutely, and a great matchup today. Two teams that seem to bring out the best in each other. Chris Streveler had the best game of his career against the Montreal Alouettes. Week 2 of the 28th season. First start of his career, second start of his career rather. Vernon Adams Jr. of course engineered a fantastic Montreal comeback. In fact, the greatest in team history. The last time these two teams met, he threw for almost 500 yards that day.
Here's a guy who has his team believing, a former star here in Winnipeg. Kahari Jones helped engineer that comeback as well. It was the largest blown lead by the Blue Bombers. Spinning their wheels right now, and kind of like a metaphor, trying to dig in right now, the Blue Bombers down the stretch, needing a win to match Calgary and Saskatchewan in the West. Away we go. A day after the snowstorm that hit Winnipeg. Janarian Grant on a fake, and Grant is brought down. A good starting point here for the guy who wears a number that Kahari Jones used to wear in Winnipeg. Number 17, Chris Streveler, brings his offense out on the field, and kind of like his team right now, the young man is sputtering.
Yeah, and interesting to see sort of the process of development for Chris Streveler over the course of this season. Obviously getting an extended opportunity to start here. He has upped his career high in passing yards in each of the last couple of weeks, but still finds himself looking to get this team back in the win column.
So 1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 41, trying to do what they did in Montreal 3 weeks ago. Got off to a great start, 4 straight drives to score, and then of course imploded in the second half.
We take a look as the Bombers come out throwing play action on first down. Lucky Whitehead out of the lineup. Rasheed Bailey draws in. He's played 1 game so far this season, 5 catches on the year along that offensive line. Keep an eye on the center, Michael Couture, doing a real nice job in his first full season as a starter. It's a product of Simon Fraser University.
They'll hand it off to Andrew Harris, CFL rushing leader. Bashes his way into Montreal territory against a Montreal defense that is very stout as always.
Yeah, and one of the nice stories for the Alouettes has been the development of Fabian Foote this season. Kind of breaking out, getting an opportunity to start as the former 2nd-round pick in 2017. A little more Canadian content in that linebacking core with Chris Aki and of course Enoch Mwamba in the middle. The guy who may be mentioned among the contenders for most outstanding Canadian this season. And on the back end, Najee Murray rejoins this team. He's in at the field corner spot in place of an injured Ryan Carter. Najee Murray from Steubenville, Ohio.
Same hometown as the new Bomber quarterback picked up this week, Zach Collaros. Not playing today. When and if he will play. There's Zach. Great story about Zach Collaros and Najee Murray.
Oh yeah, both, as we mentioned, from Steubenville, Ohio, attended the same high school. Najee's a little bit younger. He was actually a ball boy for the team when Zach Collaros was their starting quarterback.
Of course, Zach, a Cincinnati Bearcat, came north, Toronto Argonaut, Hamilton Tiger Cat, Saskatchewan Rough Rider. Knocked out 3 plays into this season. There goes Andrew Harris. Big hole opens up this time for number 33. First down, Winnipeg.
Well, Bombers came out, first down, they came out, ran play action, worked beautifully as the defense flowed entirely to Andrew Harris. Here, they're still looking to shut down that run, but look at how they're all bunched up in here. Leaves a big lane for Andrew Harris. to hit it up backside. Nice vision for him to cut back, get away from that crowd.
Now Chris Streveler. How about this? Going left side. Another first down, moving the chains. And this is what Chris Streveler loves to do.
Yeah, and here you'll see, watch the flow of the defense as Andrew Harris shows toss left. You'll see Chris Streveler then counter back, quarterback counter the other way as the defense flows. You catch him even for a half step. And Streveler accelerates so well, he's able to turn that into a significant gain.
Streveler averages 5.6 yards per carry. Scored a lot of touchdowns like Vernon Adams. We'll talk about that today. Both quarterbacks with a dozen touchdowns apiece. Running the football. There's Harris on the pitch out. And so far, this game starting to resemble the way it looked back in Montreal 3 weeks ago when the Bombers came out and scored early. The key for the Bombers is not the start today, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. The finish, they've been badly outscored in fourth quarters of late, and it seems like the troubles began with that Montreal comeback a few weeks ago.
Since that comeback, 9 quarters, the Bombers have only outscored their opposition in 1 quarter and only by a single point. That's how bad it's gotten. Here's a wobbler, flag flies. After 4 straight running plays, they go to the air looking for Rasheed Bailey.
Again, Bailey drawing into the lineup today in place of the injured Lucky Whitehead.
Montreal number 20 yards. 21. That 5-yard penalty will result in a first down.
So 2 changes in that Bomber receiving core this week as compared to last week as Drew Wolotarski comes back in. He had been replaced last week by Daniel Peterman as he needed a recovery week. Not a surprise for anyone at this stage of the season.
Bomber team losing in Saskatchewan last week. And there goes Harris. D-light, green light, touchdown Winnipeg. Andrew Harris enjoying the snow in the end zone. And the Bombers storm out quickly and score on this opening drive.
Well, this is the aspect of the Blue Bombers offense, Rod, that intrigues me most is they attack so many places that you have to honor it. So you're going to see Rasheed Bailey come with motion that way. That keeps the defense out wide, and then Andrew Harris takes it back the other way. So as much as they want to collapse to defend Andrew Harris, it's hard to do because you really have to defend all the gaps. Great block at the point of attack. I believe that was Pat Neufeld that took down Chris Aki.
8th touchdown. Andrew Harris moving closer to number 7 all-time. Yards from scrimmage. Should surpass that today. Flexen. Number 33 does it again. A great start for the Blue Bombers at home. The only snow outside on the highways and in the end zone. And Andrew Harris like a little boy. Of course, it's only October. In the snow, in the end zone. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, ranked number 1 in quality by J.D. Power. There's a lot of talk last 24 hours about the snow and the weather. And of course, in this town over the last 3 weeks about this football team that wears blue and gold. Team that streaked out to a 5-0 record. Everybody talking about possible Grey Cup appearance. They do a little repair work on Andrew Harris.
Yeah, administering some sutures, fortunately just to the torn jersey.
Ariel Alford is pasted out of bounds and quickly draws a crowd. Big hit on special teams. And here's a young man who has certainly contributed on specials this year.
Yeah, big pop right there for Fala Exume at the University of Montreal.
21 special teams tackles. That's one behind the league leader and team leader,
Mike Miller.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, monster season. And you look, Exume is a kid who was picked in the 8th round, 70th overall, having that impact.
So Vernon Adams helped his team to an 8-6 record this season. And of course, the miracle in Montreal 3 weeks ago, orchestrated by the former Oregon Duck. Here is their offense, and it was Jake Winnipeg who had that game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, certainly one of the heroes of that game. Also had season highs with 8 catches, 134 yards in that game, did Winnipeg. Keep an eye on Jeremiah Johnson, by the way. He gets the start at running back in place of William Stanback, late scratch. Kennedy Estelle draws into the lineup. Former Saskatchewan Rough Rider comes off the PR and plays the injured Tony Washington at tackle.
And Willie Jefferson, as this is
stolen by Eugene Lewis.
That happened. Eugene Lewis, as Adams was getting popped by Willie Jefferson. The ball goes in the air, looked like it was picked, and then it was pickpocketed.
Yeah, watch Jefferson coming off the left, quick swim inside on Estelle. But Winston Rose, who leads the league in interceptions, just got a taste of his own medicine as Eugene Lewis intercepted his interception.
Here's Jeremiah Johnson. Adam Bighill wrestles him to the field turf. Let's take a look at this stuff.
I mean, Winston Rose has a nice over-the-shoulder catch, falls in nice and easy, and he's got it. And Eugene Lewis just pulls it out of his arms. I wasn't initially convinced necessarily that Lewis was completely in bounds as he took control of the ball, but they rule it a catch in favor of the Alouette receiver.
Hardy fans here at Investors Group Field. Lighthouse today. A lot of people still struggling with power and digging out. And over the top to Quan Bray. Bray with a first down, and Vernon Adams hangs in, delivers a strike.
Yeah, Quan Bray, the rookie out of Auburn, continuing his strong play. One of the nice finds the Montreal Alouettes this season. Great, talented, young group of players on this team. If things continue in this direction, they could be a fun bunch to watch for a number of years.
Big bodied, tall guys, rangy, great catch radius. Blitz comes. Adams, bubble screen to Spencer Moore on the right side, the far hash. He gets a couple of yards here. Moore, the fullback out of McMaster, getting a few more touches this season in the Montreal offense.
Yeah, you may see him a little bit as they try to look for various ways to deal with Willie Jefferson. Leads this team with 11 sacks, 6 forced fumbled, 12 passes knocked down. No sacks, however, in his last 3 games. Adam Bighill, of course, central figure in the last game. His little altercation with Vernon Adams. Chandler Fenner has been tremendously productive on the corner for the Bombers this year.
Deep drop for Adams, and chucks it, and should have been caught. And was not caught. DeVere Posey slipped out of his mitts, and the best the Alouettes will do is a field goal attempt on a drive that started in their own territory and should have got a little further.
Yeah, you'll see Posey, nice stem to the inside and then bends it to the out route, gets a nice clear from his wide receiver Lewis to create some separation, create a little bit of space. Well thrown ball, perfect hand position. Just looked like he maybe turned his head to get upfield a little too quickly.
Boris Beatty, almost 87%. Tough hold there, and Beatty is able to hook it through. So like the Bombers, the Alouettes score on their first series. They can't find the end zone. Much of it to do with this, but DeVere Posey likely won't have another one of those today. A slick field in Winnipeg. Yeah, who would have thought we'd have a day like today, but I'll tell you what, it could have been a lot worse. Let's go to the sideline and once again join Sarah Orlesky.
Yes, let's take the glass half full approach with that one. Rod for 30 centimeters fell in the city of Winnipeg, but much worse west of the city, so we are lucky. But of course that creates issues when trying to get ready for this game. When you look at the amount of snow that's fallen, now they had to bring in a 20-foot snow pusher as well as 2 loaders in order to not only try to clear the field but also move the snow out. People began arriving, a crew of over 70 people arriving at 4 o'clock this morning. By 7 a.m. they were on the field having to paint it because, of course, when clearing the field, the paint got scraped off. So this is all fresh paint that's being laid down this morning. A lot of hard work in order to get it done. You will notice that the lines on the perimeter of the field thinner than usual. That was strictly a time issue.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Sarah Orleski, sideline reporter, extraordinaire, meteorologist, Weather Network.
She was here at 4 this morning helping.
She was helping out.
She was, yeah.
So was Wade Miller. By the way, there's Mike Miller, who has now tied Wade Miller. In fact, there is Wade, the Bombers president, who had the long-time record for special teams tackles. That was usurped by Jason Araki. Wade's a little tired because
he was here. He was here with Sarah and the rest of them at 4.
He's been shoveling. And that's what you do. And who would have thought mid-October you would have Snowmageddon like they had here. Darvin Adams. Now it is not bad. Like a lot of people like ourselves had a tough time getting here. There are people that, you know, aren't as fortunate. They've been stranded on highways and, you know, disrupted. There were trees uprooted around the city. There was talk of, you know, what this game might be like with no power yesterday, but that's all been solved and everything is all right for a snowy game in mid-October. And I know they get used to being from here originally. Get used to a snowfall a little earlier than other parts of Canada. Usually it's Halloween though. Not just after September. So
yeah, a little early, but
climate change is affecting the Canadian Football League.
Well,
as we have
anytime.
seen.
Yeah, obviously Calgary very heavily affected by weather as well in recent weeks.
1st and 10 from the 37 for Strebler. Into traffic. Nick Dembski takes a shot but catches the football after 3-yard pickup.
Well, one of the things that stands out with the Bombers, and you're seeing it already in this game, is the balance among their receivers coming into this game. Their top 5 receivers were all within a range of 52 yards of each other from 1 through 5. They spread the ball around, don't necessarily rely heavily on one guy to be the go-to guy in the passing game.
Strebler. Oh, big snag. They're saying incomplete. As Rasheed Bailey tried to sell it. Ball popped out.
Yeah, nice effort for the diving stab there from Bailey, but unable to haul that one in.
A Winnipeg team that puts up a lot of points. Best running team in the Canadian Football League. In fact, the 2 top running teams here today. Bombers last, though, in passing yardage. Justin Medlock. Alford, who scored on a return last week, and he might score here. There he goes, and he's done it again. Mario Alford with another house call. Back-to-back weeks, 90 yards. And that was like watching a track star out of the blocks. That was almost a straight line.
It sure was. A couple of jukes to the inside to create space for himself along the sideline. But you see, look at the Alouette blockers. They've got their men outflanked to that sideline. Alford helps him out with the fake inside to help set up those blocks. Little juke there to freeze Justin Medlock. And then straight down the sideline for his 2nd return touchdown in as many weeks. The former Toronto Argonaut, Mario Alford.
And former Bengal pick in the National Football League. Spent some time in the NFL.
Too many men in the formation, Montreal.
Year of the return. Took a bit of a hiatus until Mario Alford was signed by the Montreal Alouettes.
Yes. Reignited things in a big way.
Alford, kind of like Janarian Grant, who scored 2 in his first game for the Blue Bombers. So we've got some track stars here today. Might not be done yet. The Alouettes who do not score many touchdowns in first quarters. In fact, only one over the last 7 games. Get one from Mario Alford. There's a flag down in the backfield here. Back of the end zone.
Time count violation. Sorry.
Tom Valese, our referee today. They're trying to figure this out. Blue Bombers substituting a bunch of players here.
There is no flag on the play. The 20-second clock did not reset from the previous play.
So Boris Beatty. Bombers didn't have their personnel in as well. Point after. Usually the 32-yard line, now the 37 to make it a 1-point game. Boy, some big swings already. Bombers score on their first series. Alouettes get a field goal, then Mario Alford gives the Alouettes their first lead. A 90-yard return, his second in as many weeks in the Canadian Football League. Super Mario Alford. We're going to start labeling him in Montreal. Last week scored the win over the Calgary Stampeders. Now against the Blue Bombers. And Vernon Adams bundled up. He's got a time to. There's Vernon Stylen leaving Montreal yesterday, and Vernon whoa, there, yeah. Next time, watch the Weather Network.
Welcome to Winnipeg.
It is a little different story. Janarian Grant trying to answer back, won't. And the 25-yard line is where Chris Streveler will bring his offense back out. Under 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Already some ebb and flow in this east-west tug-of-war. Mike O'Shea feeling the heat in the cold in Winnipeg. The Bombers this week acquired quarterback Zach Collaros.
A veteran presence, veteran experience. He's been there and done that. You know, I said right from the get-go that if we were going to acquire a quarterback, I wanted a veteran in here, and he didn't become available until, as I said before, the 11th hour. He's come in and said whatever we need him to do, and it's Chris Streveler's team. So we'll let Chris run with it and see where we get to, and Zach will be a good guy to have in the room, and we'll see where it all ends up.
Well, Chris Streveler, mentored a little bit, I'm sure, by Zach Collaros, who's been there and done that. Matt Nichols, of course, is around as well.
Yeah, again, the more support you can have when you've got young quarterbacks. Streveler in his second year, Sean McGuire, the number 2 man on that depth chart, a true CFL rookie.
Andrew Harris.
And Zach Collaros is a guy, a Grey Cup champion as a backup early in his career in Toronto. You see the 2 veterans there. That was in 2012, but also quarterback the Hamilton Tiger Cats to an appearance in the Grey Cup as well.
There are a lot of wins, 40 standing right there. There's a lot of money standing right there as well. A couple of big contract guys.
Yeah.
Matt Nichols, Zach Collaros, and fortunate part of this game is injuries. Streveler standing in, hanging in, throwing over the top, caught for a first down. Rashid Bailey.
Well, and I think the time that you're seeing Chris Streveler have on this play, watch the protection here, plenty of time to stand in the pocket, wait for things to develop, is a direct result of the impact that Andrew Harris has had early in this game. They've been productive running the football. That forces the Montreal defense to stay honest. They can't just pin their ears back and come after Streveler and try to contain him. They really have to focus first on defending the run.
Streveler kind of faked a handoff, going for Darvin Adams. Adams knew he had the ball too and slipped through his fingertips. That was catchable.
Yeah, another play action look, although Andrew Harris had to skip the fake to get into the protection scheme there, so he goes to the other side. Looking to freeze that pass rush for a moment. Darvin Adams with a half step on Tommy Campbell that time. One that he might like to have another shot at. Adams, another of the many great Auburn products around the Canadian Football League.
You know who's loving that? Our man Charles Barkley. Anytime you mention Auburn, his eyes light up. Rasheed Bailey short of the first down.
Well, terrific secondary support there from Najee Murray coming up to take his legs out from under him.
So the Bomber drive's going to end here. Under 3 to go in this opening quarter. Should tell you the field is in good shape. There's some concern that it might not be.
Yeah, we expected it to be very slick. Still wet, obviously, with the amount of precipitation that they've had to clear off there. But traction seems to be pretty good. I think Mario Alford might attest to that.
Yes, he might. Medlock angles this. The ball bounces near the 15 and will bounce out of bounds. Pretty good kick. I think they take that based on what happened last time when they kicked it to number 89.
And I love the adjustment from a special teams point of view for Winnipeg here after being hurt. Usually you're looking to kick into the short side of the field, so you expect the punt to go to this side. That's why Alford lines up over there. They want to get this on the ground and out of bounds. So Medlock kicks it opposite, gets it on the ground. You saw that sort of awkward kick, not your usual spiraling punt, because he's trying to get the bounce he wants so it goes in the desired direction once it hits.
Blue Bomber team trying to get the ball back and trying to win a quarter. Vernon Adams sings one to Quan Bray. Big gain. Almost 17 yards on that catch by Bray.
Well, nice job here by Vernon Adams just to step up as pressure starts to come. He's got a little bit of a lane in front of him, steps up to avoid Steven Richardson, delivers a dart to Bray.
'26-year-old Vernon Adams out of Pasadena, California. Operates under center in a cluster formation. But it's a play action. And Adams was going to take it himself, and he's dragged down. Bombers did not bite when it appeared to be a running play. It was not. Tom Valese with the camera on the bill of his cap.
Yeah, they kind of set it up formation-wise here as well to lead you to believe that they were going to try and run that ball to the strong side. Tight end and fullback both lined up to the right.
Adams getting the plays from Kahari Jones in his helmet. Now good blocking for Jeremiah Johnson. Right at the first down marker. Looks like he'll move the chains. What a luxury to have Jeremiah Johnson on your roster when William Stanback is out.
Yeah, real good security blanket up. Obviously, the Alouettes love when they can get both of these guys in the lineup. Stanback a little bit banged up. Johnson, the veteran, guy who's seen time with the Toronto Argonauts, Ottawa Redblacks, and BC Lions prior to joining Montreal this season.
Barring penalty, final play of an opening quarter, and the turning point was a punt return. Keep it on the turf for Johnson. Now Mario Alford's return gave the Alouettes the lead. What a difference 3 weeks make. Alouettes in the first half were down 24 against the Blue Bombers. They're up 3 after 1. Day after the snow fell. It's flying early thanks to Andrew Harris. Mario Alford taking it the distance. Hometown Bombers start early, scoring on their first drive, but the Alouettes have a lead. And the Bombers over the last 10 quarters, just one quarter they've won, and that's only been by a single point. And I guess, you know, Dwayne, we were here early in the season. The Bombers had everybody in the league talking 5-0. Things were going so well. Matt Nichols was playing well. All of these things. Andrew Harris. A lot of stuff has happened to this team over the last month and a half. What's happened to the Bombers' success rate?
Well, a big part of their start early in the season was obviously their continuity. This is a team that's been built over the course of a couple of years, and they kept that core together from last year to this year. You make a couple of additions, obviously, every year when you have a chance to get a guy like Willie Jefferson and so on. But continuity, I think, when you look at teams like Hamilton and Winnipeg coming out of the gate, that was a big reason for it. And then you start having some injuries, and particularly at key positions, and that has an impact on that continuity as other teams are starting to develop it and close the gap.
Hard-hitting Brandon Alexander got his paws on this. It was almost deflected as he was trying to find Devere Posey once more.
And Brandon Alexander came into the lineup at free safety last week in place of Jeff Heck, just a guy that gives them a little bit more flexibility by having another cover guy back there, maybe a little bit more range, a half step faster. Certainly Heck had done a good job, but Alexander just gives them a few more options in terms of looks they can give.
This one kind of frisbeed in the wind. Janarian Grant nowhere to roam down near the 29, and we've got a little tussle on the far side. All is good. Well, doubleheader again in week 18. Another game of significance. The BC Lions trying to stay alive.
This is a playoff game.
It is against the Edmonton Eskimos. Kind of felt like the Blue Bombers lately. Mike Riley and the Lions. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific after this one. Live mic game today.
Live mic action for that one.
Chris Streveler turns it hands to Harris. Harris plows his way for a first down. Andrew Harris climbing the list, so many lists ever since he came to Winnipeg.
Oh, Andrew Harris, 44 yards, 42 yards rather, rushing on Winnipeg's opening drive of this football game, really kind of setting the tone, giving the offensive line an opportunity to be physical out of the gate, but more importantly in the big picture for Winnipeg, establishing that run to open up some other things for them offensively.
And Streveler calls his own number, stood up and sprints outside, and Greg Reed, arms folded, makes that tackle after half the first down yardage was accumulated. Chris Streveler, there was no doubt what he was doing.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a Greg Reed shoestring tackle away from turning into a big, big play for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Chris Streveler, when he gets into the open field, can absolutely fly. Nice job by Reed, who has been just tremendous this season in that Alouette secondary, playing the boundary half spot.
Streveler once more to Harris, who ran right into the veteran John Bowman. Those two, of course, had some exchanges.
John Bowman perhaps questioning Andrew Harris's intentions. Harris suspended for a couple of games earlier this season for having used a banned substance.
And he still maintains was contaminated. He is innocent. You hear his story, it's hard not to believe. Andrew Harris still zero tolerance, had to take the suspension. There's a fumble. Montreal recovers. Alford almost gave it right back as Exume was down there in a hurry again. Mario Alford, who's had a dash of brilliance, almost gave it back this time. Montreal ball when we come back. They have the lead in Winnipeg. First-year head coach, longtime assistant, former star in Winnipeg. Used to throw footballs to that guy in the studio.
Oh, what's his name? What's his face?
Let's go down to Sarah.
Well, Rod, before the game, we saw Kahari Jones out on the field throwing the football around for over 40 minutes. That's not new, but he's also out there. He was dancing on the field as well, just looking like he was having such a good time. You would think he was a player and not the head coach. I asked him about it afterwards. He said, hey, football's supposed to be fun. The teams that he enjoyed playing on the most were ones where it had that sort of environment. And while he demands excellence from his players and discipline, he wants them to enjoy it. And when I spoke to Enoch Mwamba about the effect that Kahari Jones has had on the team, he said he's the ultimate players coach. They're having fun again. He demands the excellence, but he lets us be who we are.
Well, Sarah, you think about what's happened in Montreal, how Kahari got the job, you know, almost by default early in the season. You know, they went through so much turmoil, still looking for an owner, although that could be weeks away from being resolved as well. And through all the adversity, Kahari Jones, like the quarterback that he was, is a leader. Ball's up in the air, and it is almost picked off. Or is it? And they are saying that ball actually bounced around, and Chris Schluger ended up with the football. I think this looked like a little volleyball game in the middle here.
Yeah, you'll see Marcus Rios off the edge. Nice job to get the hands up.
So free ball. Oh yeah.
Schluger squeezes that baby.
It's the World Rugby Cup.
Nice job. He covered up the points of the ball, got upfield.
Boris Beatty needs a big kick here for the Alouettes. Janarian Grant is back. The Bombers could get a great starting point. Oh, and they're going to reverse it. Marcus Sayles. It's a couple more yards, but a good starting point at the Bomber 45. Well, here's how that ball bounced around. Alouettes were lucky to hang on. Winnipeg ball when we come back. Well, coverage of TSN Hockey continues Tuesday, featuring the Jets battling the Coyotes on home ice. Puck drop at 6:30 Central, along with the Habs looking to shut down the Lightning. Puck drop at 7 Eastern, 8 Atlantic, also available on TSN Radio. NHL regional restrictions apply. Day that feels like hockey weather here. And Stravler dishing it to Kenny Lawler for his first catch the late afternoon. He's catching the ball game into Montreal territory.
Kenny Lawler has been a nice addition to this Winnipeg receiving corps.
Stravler again. This time to Drew Wolotarski. Guy who was missing in Regina last week, and the Bombers could have used him at Mosaic, particularly in second down situations where Wolotarski seems to rise up.
Yeah, another big body, usually plays that wide side, wide out position. University of Minnesota product, where he and Stravler were teammates and roommates for part of their college careers.
Both as receivers. Stravler left Minnesota to go to South Dakota to continue on as a quarterback. There's Mike Miller.
The element of surprise.
They've used him quite a bit now this season, certainly more than he has in the last few years. Touches out of the backfield with a former star from Acadia who, by the end of this season, should be #1 all-time in special teams tackles.
And just a different look. Again, one of those sort of key breakers. When you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, fullback comes into the game, you expect that he's going to be a blocker. And the ball's going to Andrew Harris as they try to flatten out that line. Throw the fullback a bone, keep the defense honest.
Little counter for Andrew Harris. We talked about the lists that Andrew Harris continues to climb, and now that really looked like the Rugby World Cup. That scrum. Andrew Harris gets into it with the Alouettes, and I think still has a bit of A chip on his shoulder pad to the comments by Bowman and company, and Paul LaPolice calling these plays from above.
Again, there have been challenges, obviously, for Paul LaPolice this season, as many offensive coordinators around the league have experienced. You lose your starting quarterback, it kind of changes the motif of that offense. Still trying to find that exact balance, but always an offense that's very well balanced and shows a lot of versatility.
Crosser over the top for Grant. A little handshake, a juke, and run out of bounds after the first down for Janarian Grant. Returner, receiver, speedster.
Yeah, and Rasheed Bailey is the guy who starts in place of Lucky Whitehead, but there will be some plays in the course of this game as Grant comes right from the right edge of your screen. They're going to try and use his speed across the field to outrun people. As certain plays, you're going to want the guy with the skill set most like Lucky Whitehead. Nice block there by Kenny Lawler to pick off Greg Reed.
Red zone or green zone time inside the 20. Stravler takes it himself again. Is going to set up a throwing down. These are the top two teams also in the CFL in this area. Success rate, scoring touchdowns, scoring points inside the 20-yard line. The Bombers #1 overall. The Alouettes are #2.
Well, second and long here. We'll see what Paul LaPolice has up his sleeve. Relying a little more on the arm of Chris Stravler.
Stravler to the end zone, touchdown! And Wolotarski is back. Drew Wolotarski from Stravler. And kind of a little fake now going to that end zone over there. A Hardrick hop did not happen.
We'll see Wolotarski work in right across that goal line, gets inside position on the defender. Little advantage in size he has on Najee Murray, boxes him out. Stravler threads it in there.
Stravler stays into hold, a Bomber team that almost always just kicks the point after, the 1 point after. High snap, Medlock through. Bombers usually leap into that end zone with the fans, and maybe because the snow and the ice back there, they decided not to this time. Wolotarski looks a little nicked up. Makes the catch though. 4th touchdown of the season. Winnipeg assumes the lead. There is Drew Wolotarski. Grew up in the California area, ended up at Minnesota, ended up here north of the border. His former roommate, Chris Stravler, the roommates combine for a big touchdown here. Stravler looks like a guy we saw with that confidence, that swagger a little early on. Much more controlled in this game than we've seen in recent weeks. Oh, through the wickets. Alford is going to have to give up the rouge. Oh, no! What was he doing?
Take a knee, Mario.
Mario Alford. Whoopsie daisy.
I'll tell you what, on this play, Mario Alford uses up a little bit of the credit that he had built up with those 2 return touchdowns the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, this was not
he
good.
Kind of Billy Bucknered that one at first. And
oh, don't say that. Come on.
And then when he should have just taken a knee, put himself at risk.
Yeah. 5 holding. Well, another point goes on the board.
Lucky it wasn't 6.
Very lucky. Like, you'd think he goes through your legs. Maybe you just kind of take the knee after that. Adams dodges one and goes over the top, and Eugene Lewis just met Brandon Alexander head on.
Yeah, watch for Alexander, bottom left corner of your screen. Dropping deep, patrolling the middle. Adams with the nice escape. And
big shot. Looked like a Bola combo hit. I've seen a few of those this year.
Yes, sir.
Let's see one today as well. Keep it on the ground for Jeremiah Johnson. Second and manageable. Under 5 minutes to play in opening half that has seen the lead seesaw back and forth.
Oh, the Alouettes caught the Bombers. And that one in a blitz that had looped Adam Bighill out of the middle. He went to the defensive left side on the blitz as the Alouettes had the run going back, attacking the right side of that Winnipeg D.
Johnson stays beside Vernon Adams. No, give it to him again. He has the first down, bucket down. Adam Bighill, initial contact, but another first down for Jeremiah Johnson. Like Vernon Adams, guy who was once a Duck, Oregon Duck. Vernon Adams losing the ball. That was strange. Looked like he almost spiked it. There's a flag down as well.
Yeah, it looked to me like the Alouette receivers may have been offside initially.
Offside, Montreal number 9. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Vernon was lucky to hang on. Get that ball back too. Huge loss.
See Jake Winicky out of the slot just above the hash marks. Little offside.
It looked like he spiked it. Doesn't work in Canada, son. I think he realized at that moment. Play draw on 2nd and 35. That was not the Alouettes' best sequence of the season.
Yeah, I suspect that the draw was a little bit of a cut your losses sort of play. Take whatever we get, punt, and hope to do better on the next possession.
Janarian is back. Beatty. Big kick. Down near the 15. Grant's got some room here if he wants it. Cutting back. Down to the 30. Looks like the clock is ticked to the 3-minute warning before halftime. Streveler comes out. Bombers with a 5-point lead, trying to end a 3-game slide. Get back in the win column here in the Peg.
Rod, the boys back in the studio getting set for halftime. Best performance by the Bombers offense since the last first half they had against Montreal. Plus lessons in punt coverage, and we'll look ahead to the BC Lions trying to stay alive again as they get ready for the Eskimos in Edmonton. Back to Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
All right, thank you, boys. 3 weeks ago, 34-10 at one point, 24-point lead. Alouettes scored a much important touchdown before going to the locker room. Could have been a different story. And then, of course, all heck broke loose in the fourth quarter. Andrew Harris. Boy, he has showed great second and third effort in this game today, 40.
What? Andrew Harris has been so important to this Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense. And along with those contributions to the team, some great individual accomplishments along the way. As you see, he has recently passed Nick Lewis to move into 7th place all-time the yards from scrimmage list.
Needless to say, Hall of Fame numbers.
Yes, sir.
Instantaneous for Andrew Harris. You know, you think about when we first started seeing Andrew come out of the junior ranks. out west, the native Winnipegger. You know, good player, obviously, at the time. Not getting a lot of playing time, not getting a lot of touches, but then in the 2011 Grey Cup, most outstanding Canadian, breakout party, eventually comes home here, and then it takes off. How and why?
Well, Andrew Harris is a guy who has always had a very good work ethic. He's been very coachable throughout his career and has been willing to do the little things to allow himself to stay in the lineup. It's not just about his skill with the ball, but a great blocker as well.
Streveler barreling up the middle again.
You just get so many different looks and run fakes and various play actions from this Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense.
You got a lot of guys that can run the football. Think about it. Lucky Whitehead's not in today, but he can run the ball. They can jet sweep to Darvin Adams.
And Nick Dembski regularly carrying the ball. Obviously, Harris and Streveler, sort of the two primary ball carriers within this scheme. 2nd
and 1, left side. Streveler again. Oh, took a big whack from Enoch Muamba. Enoch's had a sensational season, anchoring that middle for the Alouettes D, but it's a first down, Winnipeg.
Yeah, you'll see a little hesitation here as Streveler waits to see how things open up. Delay, and turn on the jets. Take it around the horn. There you see Andrew Harris serving as a lead blocker on Bo Lacombo that time.
1st and 10 go the Bombers. 90 seconds before halftime, looking to extend their lead. Harris again. Unless Montreal can get the ball back. And Andrew Harris again. It's feel like a bit of a dump truck here today. Just everybody's throwing stuff in the back of the pickup. A lot of players carrying them for extra yardage.
Again, when you watch the entire scheme, though, you know, the Blue Bombers within most of their run plays to Andrew Harris, it's not just sort of Harris between the tackles. It may be Harris getting the ball, but you're going to see one of the receivers faking outside one way and Streveler faking bootleg the other way. That, again, holds defenders, forcing them to defend outside gaps, contain, and keep the middle open a little bit for Andrew Harris.
Harris once more draws that crowd. Sticks move again, and Andrew Harris just pounding the rock.
Lowers the shoulder there. Pretty good collision with a guy who knows how to deliver a blow himself in Bo Lacombo.
Blue Bomber team again that like they had a W in their pocket. Montreal, I'm sure halftime will be a little bit different this time for Mike O'Shea. Not that it wasn't back in Montreal, but I'm sure they're going to talk about hanging on, knowing that Montreal is capable of coming back. That as good as of a comeback as it was by the Alouettes, it was a meltdown by the Blue Bombers as well. Didn't score in the 4th quarter.
Well, when they like get away. There you see the surgically repaired jersey of Andrew Harris. That was torn on the opening drive, which he had 42 rushing yards, including a touchdown.
Nick Dembski.
The Bombers going all Oak Park.
Yes, they are.
The Oak Park High School graduates, Andrew Harris and Nick Dembski, supplying the yardage.
The Raiders. Streveler, end zone, and it's picked off by Tommy Campbell. Looking for Darvin Adams, and Tommy Campbell is the human eraser.
And this is going to cause some flashbacks to last week. You'll remember the second half against Saskatchewan. As we take a look at this matchup, Adams doesn't have enough separation on Campbell, particularly given Tommy Campbell's height, for the Blue Bombers to make that play or for Streveler to make that throw. But 3 turnovers in the second half when they were within scoring range last week. So this one, that's why this one especially hurts.
LJ McCray last week with a one-handed interception. So now 16 to go. Vernon Adams, why not take a shot? Try to get it into field goal range, but they're going to keep it on the ground and likely won't now. They'll be down to 5 at halftime. Certainly better than it was 3 weeks ago, but in a deficit nonetheless. Wonder though why you wouldn't take a shot. Why not? Adam Bighill, who got into it with Vernon Adams last time. They're going to take the knee. Going to the locker room down 5. Bighill and Adams got into it. Vernon Adams lucky he stayed in the ball game, stayed in, and they got the win. So different game than it was 3 weeks ago. Same leader at halftime, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 15-10. Now with a special announcement, here's James Duthie.
Bombers looking much better. Should have more than a 5-point lead to show for it as you look at the numbers. Dominant in net offense, time of possession as well. Andrew Harris over 100 yards already on the ground. Here he is with Sarah Orlesky.
Andrew, you relied on heavily in that first half, and over 100 yards for you so far on the ground. What's the key to having success on the ground against this Alouettes team?
It's all about time of possession, keeping that offense out the field. I mean, they're a team that can score points fast, and we're controlling the line of scrimmage right now, so that's very key for us. And those 5-6 linemen up front there are doing a great job. Obviously,
with the way that the last time these two teams met, the way that the game ended, there'll be a lot of eyes on this second half. Or what do you hope your team learned from that?
I mean, we just got to finish. I mean, we got to get up when you get opportunities to score like we just did. We got to get points out of that, right? And biggest part again is to stay on the field and just be more consistent and finishing on drives.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
And a reminder, Don Serrano's of Vernon, BC. It's your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. One kickoff returned all the way for a TD. Could be a $10,000 home theater package if it happens twice. Could be $1 million. Good luck, Don. That's our halftime show. And it's brought to you by the new Ram Heavy Duty, the most capable heavy-duty pickup ever. Always ready for the second half, as are Rod Black and Dwayne Ford, guys.
Back at Investors Group Field, getting ready for the second half. Remember 3 weeks ago what the Alouettes did to the Blue Bombers, who want to avoid that, and seeking some revenge here today. Only one touchdown for the Owls, scored by Super Mario Alford, who's with Sarah Orlesky.
You're trying to make your presence felt. 2 games for the Montreal Alouettes, 2 punt return touchdowns. This one even longer than last time. What is it that you hope that you showed the team with returns like that?
Man, it's just consistency. I just come in and work on my craft, getting upfield every time I catch the ball, and hopefully, it translates to the game.
When you mentioned the consistency, we did see a couple of fumbles in that first half on them. What is it that you need to be aware of in the second half when you get the opportunity?
Just stay contained, stay content, and right now they're trying to kick the ball away from me, so it's making it a little harder for me to get to the ball because of the way he's kicking it. So I'm going to adjust this half, and hopefully we can get it going.
Thank you so much for the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm sure Kahari Jones had a conversation with Mario Alford. As good as it can be, sometimes if you lack a little attention or concentration, some bad things can happen too. So Alford was lucky that he only gave up a single on a ball that bounced through his legs. Second half here underway. Justin Medlock booms one down to the aforementioned. Alford loves that sideline. You heard Milt Stiegel talking about how did a guy go in such a straight line like that. Something that the Blue Bombers will have to address. Vernon Adams. Offense didn't really drive the ball very well in that first half, with the exception of their first drive, which ended in a field goal.
Yeah, and maybe looking to take a bit of a page from the Blue Bombers book here in the second half, find some balance, get everybody involved a little bit here and into the game.
Adams goes to the air right away. Felix Faubert-Lucier with the catch. Maybe more ball control this time from the Alouettes.
Yeah, just a quick hitter there. They had hooks from both receivers on this boundary side. The Bombers sitting off a little bit. Alouettes content just to take what the D gives them on first down.
Vernon Adams, years of bouncing around. The Canadian Football League starting to fulfill that potential everybody talked about as Johnson moves the sticks. So much talk before Vernon even played a down in the Canadian Football League, what he might do. Starting to do it.
Yeah, this is a guy who was on the BC Lions neg list initially. And many people, as you alluded to, Rod, sort of hailed him as the next big thing at quarterback in the Canadian Football League before he had ever signed a Canadian Football League contract. BC traded his rights to Montreal and took stops in Saskatchewan and Hamilton before a return to Montreal.
Pocket closed, a bit of a wobbly ball out to the far side where Gino Lewis has it. Another first down. Well, the game's starting to slow down a little bit more for Vernon Adams. Said that it was moving so fast. Every young quarterback says that. As we watch Gino Lewis run this out.
A little double move. Pushes Chandler Fenner off, thinking that he's going deep. Break back to the football. Nicely executed route there from Lewis.
Adams still very young, just 26. Seems like he's been around a lot longer last few years. And Jeremiah Johnson does his best. Andrew Harris crashing down close to another first down. Again, the top two teams rushing in the CFL. Most of those numbers for the Alouettes, though, came with William Stanback.
Yeah, Stanback approaching 1,000 yards on the season. He's out this week. But you look back at the last time that these teams met, and Stanback was really held in check.
2nd and 1 for Adams. You know, Vernon told me a couple of weeks ago, I said, you know, the fact that it is slowing down, where did you start to get an idea of what it should be like, what it could look like? He said he was really watching guys like Ricky Ray and how cool Ricky Ray was, always composed. Never too high, never too low. And that's kind of the guy that he tried to mimic.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning process. And I mean, interestingly enough, you know, you talk about Ricky Ray. I think most people consider Ricky Ray to be kind of the last quarterback to come into this league and really find consistent success
right away
in his true rookie season.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time. It takes opportunity. It takes repetition. And for Vernon Adams, it's been a little bit of a journey. But here in 2019, I mean, you even got to remember, Vernon Adams wasn't the starting quarterback when these guys opened the season. It was Antonio Pipkin. Pipkin got banged up in week 1, their opening game against the Edmonton Eskimos. Adams came off the bench and looked great. With Pipkin out of the lineup for a couple of weeks, Adams made the most of it, and there has really been no turning back for these Alouettes as far as Vernon Adams as their leader, really face of the franchise, and certainly starting quarterback.
Sean Jamieson going to the sideline. Think back even a year ago when Vernon Adams was kind of pushed to the curb so much in Hamilton, they had to try out as a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, they had depth there, obviously. Jeremiah Masoli, Johnny Manziel was there in training camp, and Dane Evans, who has proven himself to be such a terrific quarterback, and the opportunity he's received this season. Adams gets released, makes his way back to Montreal, still kind of has Johnny Manziel in the way after that trade, but Adams perseveres, and look at him now.
Going to the far side of the field for Bray at the first down marker once more. That's a long toss. That, you know, that throw is as long as a fly pattern at times as Vernon Adams gets fired up here.
Yeah, you go from the hash mark out to the wide side, you're talking near the sideline. That's a 41-yard throw. 17 yards between the hashes, 24 yards from each hash mark to the sidelines.
2nd and inches. Again, they'll induce a flag, but might have even had a chance to burn one there. But they go behind center, see what this call is. Vernon says
offside. Winnipeg number 22. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Vernon says, you know, he's really been helped by his girlfriend and the meditation that he's done every day, and, you know, just thinking in the moment all the time, not trying to lose his cool. However, that didn't work that well the last time these two teams played.
Yeah, well, after he
could have cost his team.
Yeah, and I mean, the obvious argument certainly not just from Winnipeg fans, but I think as a whole. The incident involving the helmet swinging with Adam Bighill got him suspended. Probably should have had him ejected from that game.
Yeah, had he been ejected from the game, as Winnipeg fans lament,
yeah,
Bombers would have likely hung on for the victory. Nothing against what was going on, but Adams had serious momentum. Adam Bighill, by the way, has forgiven, but he hasn't forgotten. You never forget.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think Adam Bighill is a guy who understands, heat of the moment. You know, and Vernon Adams explained that. And sometimes you regret the things that you do in the heat of the moment on a football field, and it was one of those incidents, but he owned it, and I think that counts for something too.
Big second down here. Play clock had come down to 0.
Timeout, Montreal.
And they took a timeout just before that. By the way, just a play before that, the Bombers picked up their first penalty of the ball game. This is a very disciplined ball club. In fact, the least amount of penalties in the Canadian Football League, right up there. Winnipeg did not take many under Mike O'Shea, the Hall of Famer as a player.
Mike O'Shea has certainly built a culture here in Winnipeg.
Been a very clean game there, 40. It's 3 penalties.
It has. 3 penalties, 15 yards between the two teams.
I don't mind that. Here's this second down play again. Showing blitz. Here it comes. Here comes Biggie. Bighill chasing down Adams, who throws it down the rail. It's a touchdown. Jake Winnipeg has the touchdown.
Well, you're going to see on the scramble here the dilemma created by a rushing threat at quarterback as he attacks the sideline. Watch, first of all, how long Vernon Adams keeps this play alive. It's as he starts to approach that sideline on the left, and now he's a threat to run right now. So when you're the corner out there, you're thinking, do I come up to defend? Do I go with my receiver? Well, Marcus Rios kind of got caught in no man's land there as he started coming up, because he's the last guy that can contain that run on the outside. Winnipeg sneaks in behind him. Adams, and I think the question is probably as to whether he stayed behind the line of scrimmage when he threw this football as they review the scoring play.
Every scoring play is reviewed by command. Winnipeg, by the way, was the guy who ended the game last time these two teams met. That's his first catch of today's game. We had a good conversation with Jake before this ball game, who knows Chris Strevler very well. A couple of guys who played in the Dakotas, one for state, one for South Dakota. Winnipeg had the winning touchdown in the biggest comeback in Alouettes history 3 weeks ago.
I'm told that the discussion surrounds whether or not Jake Winnipeg had stepped out of bounds and came back in before he caught that ball, as he was right along the sideline. As had he gone out of bounds and come back in, that would constitute illegal participation. That clearly has been ruled out.
Morris Beatty converts, and the Alouettes jump back in front by 2. Back and forth they go. What a play by Vernon Adams. First offensive touchdown for the Owls today. Familiar combination. VA to Jake. And Winnipeg gives the Owls the lead.
There's a drink for that.
Big play, Jake Winnipeg. South Dakota State used to play against Chris Strevler, and then worked with Strevler on a pro day, as a matter of fact. Close friends. There's Chris getting ready to go back to work here. Winnipeg has given his team the lead by 2 early in the second half here in Winnipeg. Janarian Grant settling right at his goal line. Shooting the gap here. Look out! Janarian Grant! Not sure they'll catch him! Foot race, and they do catch him! Big return. Winnipeg We talked about the speedsters. Janarian Grant looks like he was shot out of a cannon here.
Well, this is it. You've got that speed guy, and you love when he can just get up the field in a hurry. And that's what Janarian Grant does. A lot of north-south, not a whole lot of trying to outrun people side to side. Big return.
Instant field position, Dwayne. Same spot, same sideline as Alford scored on earlier for Montreal. Strevler's got a scramble and on the roll, one hopper.
Hey, Bob, I see him.
Well, John Bowman in pursuit there. Outflanked slightly, but had enough of an angle to prevent Strevler from being able to turn that one upfield.
Just one sack in the ball game, an Alouette team that second last in sacks. Winnipeg team that's fourth in sacks. Two teams came in dead even in turnover ratio, tied for third in the league. A lot of very similar numbers between the teams. Similar records too, 8-6 against 9-6. Strevler had to throw it away. Nick Dembski was trying to get to it, and Strevler was knocked on his can.
Yeah, they're trying to set up Dembski for the screen to the left side, but you know, you're obviously inviting the rush upfield, and you'll see that. Watch Dembski, he's the guy in the bottom left corner of your screen. He's setting up, fake block, get out on the screen, but the pressure gets there too quickly. Woody Barron forcing Chris Strevler to throw that one a little earlier than the timing of the play would want. Has to rush that throw, and the ball is there before Dembski can get to the spot.
Justin Medlock struggled outside the 40. Has been perfect inside the 40 this season. No struggle this time. That one straight through. Winnipeg straight back on top by one. Man, a lot of lead changes here, as you might expect, as the season heats up, as the temperatures get colder. All right, Dwayne Ford, can you guess the celebrity behind the mask? I'm not sure there is one there, but on Wednesday on CTV, get into The Masked Singer. All new Wednesday, 8, 9 Mountain, only on CTV, then stream anytime. Luchadors are out here. Have you watched this show?
I haven't. It's on my list. It is on my list.
Yeah. It's become a phenomenon. The Masked Singer. Here's a good option run by the Alouettes. Jeremiah Johnson, positive yardage. Has had an impact in this ball game that has leapfrogged back and forth. Bombers now by one. Unless something changes here, might not need one of those dramatic comebacks that these two teams have grown accustomed to being part of. Witnesses on both sides. Bombers look to rush for. There's Biggie coming up. 2nd and 5. With protection. Vernon knocked down the big wingspan. The Condor, Willie Jefferson. That is now 13 knockdowns this season. And by the way, when you hear 13 knockdowns, you usually think a cornerback, a halfback, a safety. This is a rush end.
Yeah, watch Willie Jefferson, quick swim inside. Gets held up at the line of scrimmage, but that does not keep him from impacting the play.
Leads the CFL in knockdowns. Last D lineman to do that was Fred Perry quite some time ago. Back in 2006. Look out! Boris Beatty's going down! Just like that. Boris Beatty got trapped. Bombers were humming and coming. Jeff Hecht was in there. Beatty had to pull it back and had to go down when Marcus Sayles got to him.
Well, Jeff Hecht comes in. He's the second guy in from the edge, from the left edge in this rush scheme for Winnipeg. You're going to see the outside man at the line of scrimmage for Winnipeg is going to step out to block the widest guy, Marcus Sayles, who came late. That puts the deep back in a little bit of a bind. He was late picking up Jeff Hecht and realizing that he was going to have him. You'll see Spencer Moore in the backfield. Looked like he was looking inside and realized at the last minute he had to redirect outside to Jeff Hecht. Hecht gets there and causes the redirection.
Andrew Harris barrels down inside the 10. Big romp for the CFL rushing leader. Back-to-back series, the Bombers start in great field position, and it just got better thanks to Andrew Harris. 21-yard pickup.
You've got the motion, Rasheed Bailey motioning to seal off the backside, allowing Harris to hit it up the middle before he bounces that one for a first down. So we've got 1st and goal Winnipeg as a result of that run.
Harris lines up behind. Might we see him again? Yes, we will. Draws a crowd. Woody Barron there wrapping him up. So a key 2nd down here. And we've got a bit of a altercation between Wolotarski and Tommy Campbell that was just broken up.
Yeah, Wolotarski had Campbell pinned in the end zone on the block, gave him an extra little shove to the turf as they split apart. Campbell came back after him.
So often in ball games, coaches talk about 5 or 6 times that there's a big play, a big moment. This is one of them right here. 2nd down and goal. Winnipeg team that just got the lead back. Don't want to have to go for a field goal again. And look on the outside now, and Strebler is going to run it. Strebler looking, throw in! Nick Dembski was out on that far side from the beginning on an island. Strebler couldn't get him.
Yeah, Dembski was on a little bit of a bubble on his release. Like Dembski had swung out. You see him in the picture there briefly. And as Strebler starts to roll, Dembski turns it upfield, but he's covered, and he's the only receiver to that side. So Strebler kind of forced to take the throwaway rather than risk giving up the sack in that instance. And that'll bring on Justin Medlock.
Medlock, perfect 19 of 19 inside the 40. Money. This is just a chippy. Oh, bad snap back. Keep in mind that Chad Rempel is out of this ball game right now, so they're operating with just 2/3 of their battery. That worked out though on a ground ball back to Strebler, put it down. Medlock put it through. Bombers lead by 4. Well, the Blue Bombers haven't been able to get the comeback out of their kitchen the last few weeks, and 24 down. Chris Matthews, big catch, couple of catches. DeVere Posey, huge play, and the Alouettes, their biggest comeback ever, largest blown lead ever. And an extra point seals it. Montreal got a huge win back 3 weeks ago. 2017, though, remember that one? It was the miracle in Winnipeg, executed by Justin Medlock and company.
Yeah, out of nowhere. A lot of the same faces. Matt Nichols a big part of that one.
Barely in.
Yeah, you remember the controversy of that Andrew Harris touchdown. Was he in or wasn't he?
The residue, though, of those wins and losses hung with those teams for quite some time. Now Adams chucking deep, jump ball, and picked off. Marcus Sales on the tip. Trying to high point it. Vernon Adams throws a pick. Marcus Sales just flipped out.
Well, Vernon Adams coming out aggressively here, looking to take the big shot. Winston Rose right there in coverage. Remember, Eugene Lewis stole a would-be interception from Winston Rose early in this ball game. This time Rose gets the tip, and Marcus Sales, his halfback, is there to secure the turnover.
Watch this. Willie Jefferson pulled one of those lines, but that's the backhand.
That's some serious hang time right there.
That's the National Gymnastics Championship. Marcus Sales with his second interception. Now Strebler looking to make the pay. He might. He does.
Sudden change.
Sudden change, Rasheed Bailey. That's the MO. After a big turnover, go for the kill shot.
Now watch Rasheed Bailey attack the middle here. Defender and outside leverage. And Strevler comes out slinging. Rasheed Bailey again in the lineup today in place of an injured Lucky Whitehead. Looking to make his presence felt, and does with that grab.
Big play chain. On the sideline, Marcus Sales celebrating. Strevler behind cover, gets a couple blocks. Plowing close to a first down, and it is a first down.
Again, he's got some other moving parts around him. Try and flatten out the defense, force them to defend sideline to sideline as they fake sweeps to the receivers. Strevler, the guy who attacks north-south.
First and 10 from the Alouette 33. Andrew Harris, this time for a loss, is pile driven backwards. Here's the issue for the Blue Bombers. All these big plays that have come. Turnovers. One on downs. Interception. Those field goals might come back to haunt them later on, leaving a lot of points on the field here. What is Lapo devising? Second and 12. The rush comes. Strevler looking for Adams, and again the Bomber drive stops here, and it's Medlock time once more.
On this one, a little more of a challenging field goal attempt for Medlock. Is that throw just beyond the outstretched hands of Darvin Adams?
Bombers talked about their inability to finish ball games the last 3 weeks. Today it's their inability to finish drives in this second half. Still, Medlock with that sure foot makes it a 7-point ball game. Converted touchdown. The Bombers lead by 7.
Back in the Game, the new album from Chad Brownlee. Listen now on Apple Music.
Back in the game, but staying in the game are the Alouettes. Think about how Winnipeg could be burying Montreal right now.
Well, you heard the boys talk about this at halftime. More first downs, more time in possession, more yards of offense. In watching the game, Winnipeg has been the better team. However, of all teams in the Canadian Football League, Montreal is the group that you don't want to let hang around.
Jeremiah Johnson again up near the 50. Well, they've been called the Cardiac Kids. Team that, let's face it, we've seen them play the last couple of years. They haven't been capable of finishing ball games, and so much turnover and lack of continuity at quarterback, but they've got it now. There's a belief on that Montreal sideline that they're never out of ball games.
Yeah, there's no question of that. Vernon Adams playing a big part of that. Kahari Jones obviously playing a significant role in building the belief of this football team.
The RPO, flag down, likely a holding call here. Throws it out of bounds. Yeah, Kahari Jones, he's been around too. He's had some great plays in the past. Milt, of course. Kahari Jones likes the fact that his team is
Holding.
never out.
Montreal number 69. That penalty is declined. Second down.
It's good. It means we're in every game, and we make things exciting. And I do like the fact that people enjoy watching us play. I don't want to make it that exciting all the time if we can help it. And I keep telling the guys, hey, we don't have to give up a big lead and then come back at the end and just to show that we can do it or anything. Let's work on starting a little better and getting going faster.
Adams dancing, giving it off to Jeremiah Johnson. This drive's going to stall, but Vernon Adams showing some of those dance steps in the background and delivering to Johnson. So Boris Beatty's going to have to come out and get this ball off his foot this time. But Janarian Grant is back again. Don't think that doesn't affect the alignment as well. Bombers got to him last time. Booming kick down to the 10. Might give Brant some room here. Got a little room and takes the seam up to the 22-yard line in the final 30 seconds of the third quarter. For Strebler, big blemish, that one interception. Hasn't been able to finish off drives with the exception of the Drew Wolotarski. Andrew Harris earlier in the ball game.
Yeah, certainly as they enter the fourth quarter here, and that's where things essentially unraveled in the last meeting between these two teams. You were mentioning to me earlier, Rod, that the Blue Bombers, since getting blown out in that fourth quarter in Montreal, had only won one quarter of football since then. That was by a 3-2 margin.
How about this number? The last 4 games, Winnipeg has been outscored 37-3 in the fourth.
Winnipeg, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That number is what makes this drive to finish the third quarter and presumably start the fourth for Winnipeg, at least from a Winnipeg perspective, hopefully start the fourth. A big one for them. They want to demonstrate that they can close in a tight game.
Well, especially this time of year, especially what's on the line. Share of first in the West. A couple of big games coming with Calgary. If you want to hoist the Grey Cup in late November, you've got to learn to finish. Strebler over the middle. And once again, it's Bailey. Whoa. Sheet Bailey lost the ball. Wolotarski picked it up. That was a violent shot downfield on both accounts.
You'll see Rashid Bailey, guy who's having a big day. He doesn't want to come out of that lineup.
Play action far side. Bailey. One positive, one negative. Drop that time on the final play of the third quarter. Bombers this season 9-1 when they lead after 3 quarters. You know what the one was? Only 3 weeks ago. Can they hang on this time and end this slide on home field on our Super Saturday on TSN? So here we go. Cardiac Kids against a team that suffered a meltdown a few weeks ago. The Alouettes trailing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by a converted touchdown as we head to the fourth on Thanksgiving weekend and Week 18 in the Canadian Football League. What do you think is going through the minds and hearts of both sides, both sidelines right now? Probably one sideline that thinks that they are not out.
Well, when you're the Montreal Alouettes, you're going, we got them right where we want them. We're just down by 7. We should win this one by a couple of scores. But for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, there's a message to be sent, obviously. They want to demonstrate that they can close. You look at the fact that they've been able to run the ball very effectively in this football game. Expect to see a whole lot of that from various different sources. They try to control the clock here and not give the Montreal Alouettes and Vernon Adams any opportunity to get into any sort of flow, any sort of rhythm offensively in the final 15 minutes of this ball game.
And for Chris Strebler, I am sure a chance to shake off a couple of demons here over the last 3 weeks. Flag flies, Strebler throws, and it looks like it was snared up near the Montreal 50 by Kenny Lawler.
Flags down on both sides of the field.
Offside. Winnipeg number 82. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
40, you know this game and sports is all about confidence. When you have so much of it, you think you can do great things, and when you don't, and you're a little fragile, and I would suggest that the Bombers might be fragile right now after the last few weeks. You never know what can happen. But think about those comebacks we talked about a few years ago when Montreal lost to the Bombers. It gutted them for weeks and weeks. Bombers still showing some signs of trying to shake off that loss. A win here today could go a long way, and there is Rasheed Bailey once more. They try to regain the form. There's a flag in the backfield, and Stravler comes up limping, likely roughing the passer, which would move it another 15 yards, and it's all the Bombers need right now is Stravler to get hurt.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Montreal number 97. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Matt Nichols already on the shelf for the season. Stravler, Sean McGuire behind him, Zach Collaros and a Took on the sidelines. Here's what happened.
Yeah, keep an eye here on Woody Barron. He's going to show up late after that quick inside swim, finishing that tackle well after Stravler has delivered the ball to Bailey, and with that penalty, letting the Blue Bombers off the hook.
Matt Nichols, his arm, his shoulder in a tackle, and Andrew Harris swallowed up. Loss of one and another big play. We talk about those big moments in ball games. Another big one coming up here for the Alouettes D and the Blue Bombers offense.
And, you know, I just want to look back for a minute at that roughing the passer call that went against Woody Barron. And to me, it's one of those where I'm not sure he would have been called late with the initial contact, but had he let up and kind of held Chris Stravler up, even if he had made contact, he might have gotten away with that one. But it was the fact that he took him down hard. By the time the takedown actually occurred, it was well after the throw had been made.
Like maybe Barron even thought he still had him wrapped up and Stravler hadn't delivered the ball yet, but that was clearly not the case. So an injured Alouette.
Yeah, Bo Banner, backup defensive end. Slow to get up here.
There's been an inordinate amount of pressure on either quarterback. Just one sack. Just one sack in the ball game. Quarterbacks have been under pressure. Zach Collaros, what do you think? See Zach Collaros this season? That's a mysterious question, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where when you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, your first choice is for Chris Stravler to continue to develop and settle in, and that Zach Collaros is strictly a security blanket of sorts for you, as well as an aid, a support for Chris Stravler.
Stravler knocked down, and another second down extinguished by Montreal's D. Think about Zach Collaros' journey here, and you're talking about a guy who's been a winner. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a performer. Loads of talent, but man, he has been banged up the last few years. And a big shot this year.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you talk so much about rhythm being an important part of the quarterback's success. Zach hasn't had a chance to get in one the last couple of years.
Downfield quickly now. Craig Reed pushed out of bounds. Long field now for Vernon Adams. Stravler stopped. Swatted down. Montreal ball. Down 7 in Winnipeg. Oh, made the track, Alouette fans. In the middle of a lot of blue and gold. Again, a lot of fans did not make it out today because of the storm here over the last couple of days. Adams in traffic. It's picked down the sideline and coming back with the football and maybe taking it in. Taking it into the house is Nick Taylor. Touchdown, Winnipeg. turnover in momentum. Nick Taylor on a big whoops from Vernon Adams.
Yeah, Montreal's going to go play action here and roll Vernon Adams out to the right side. He's got 3 receivers. He goes through his read. He's got Winnipeg short. Quan Bray a little bit deeper, had another route there as well. Nick Taylor, the former Red Black and Edmonton Eskimo. Perfect coverage there on Quan Bray. Steps in front. Nice little tightrope act to stay in bounds. And he comes up with what I think we can safely call the biggest play of the game so far.
The TSN turning point, perhaps.
All the boys, good, let's roll, baby. That's how we do, Mama, I love you. We rolling, baby. Yeah.
But I am sure as the chain has been exchanged a couple of times. Medlock, sure thing. But in the back of the minds of many here, like, remember the Alamo? Remember the Alouettes? 3 weeks ago. It's about this time of the ball game where they roared back to life. Still a 2-possession ball game, but it becomes 2 possessions in the nick of time.
And it's that matchup with the number 2 receiver, Quan Bray, against the halfback, Nick Taylor. That's the route that Vernon Adams opts for. He's got 2 shorter options. Tries to push it down the field. Nick Taylor is right there. Time to react and step in front of that ball. And it proves to be a very costly interception for the Montreal Alouettes.
Turnovers plaguing the Alouettes. That's 3 now. 13 Bomber points off the turnovers. 14-point lead, in essence, the difference in the ballgame. Alouettes have to strike here soon. Going right side. And Julian Grant on the return. And there is a player down, Alouette, on that far sideline.
Looks like Nathaniel Anderson, backup defensive lineman, rookie out of Missouri.
Guy who was drafted as a Canadian national. He's down. So are the Alouettes by 14. We'll come back to Winnipeg in a moment.
Nathaniel Anderson being further tended to over on the sidelines. He's able to hobble over to the bench with some assistance. You'll see he's out front here trying to get a block. And as the Bomber players are coming in pursuit, it's not even intentional contact, but Anderson doesn't see that shot coming. Got rocked a little bit, maybe while he had his cleats planted in the turf. It looked to be a lower leg injury.
Jeremiah Johnson scooting out. Whipped down by Brandon Alexander. Kind of a bit of a broken play on a RPO, and Adams put it in the stomach of Jeremiah Johnson. That doesn't look the most comfortable over there.
No.
Cold, icy day. Here comes the blitz. Vernon Adams, strike to DeVere Posey. So Nick Taylor's first interception as a Bomber is a big one right now, but you think about how Taylor even got into the lineup, into the secondary today, with all of the changes that were made.
Yeah, shuffle that went on with Anthony Gator out. Marcus Rios moved from the field halfback spot up to the nickel linebacker spot. That created an opening. Normally you might think it would be Brandon Alexander that might go in there as he came off the injured list, but Alexander took over at the free safety spot, so that still an opening there. In comes Nick Taylor, CFL veteran.
Willie Jefferson's got a hold of Vernon Adams and brings him down. A free Willie that time. And Jefferson had gone 3 straight games without a sack.
You'll see the big fella coming from that stand-up position on the end. And watch once again, it's that incredible reach as Adams looks to step up. He just can't get away from the go-go gadget arms of Willie Jefferson.
Here he comes again. And got a piece of that again. And Willie Jefferson putting the screws to the Montreal Alouettes this time.
Well, Jefferson once again, he's never hard to find in the still shot.
No, he's not. 6 feet 10-inch wingspan. 6 foot 6-inch body. He is having an outstanding season as always. First year in Winnipeg. Janarian Grant nowhere to go. Time ticking away, 10.5. Still time.
We hungry over here, man. Come on down to Winnipeg.
Well, the Bombers have been hungry lately. Trying to whet their appetite. Why not snack on a quarterback? There's actually a triple header on TSN today. Earlier on TSN.ca, it was the 41st German Bowl. The Unicorns were playing against the New Yorker Lions. And the 12th championship won by the New Yorker Lions, who hoisted the trophy. And this is a year where we have welcomed European players, German League players, including Theodric Hansen, who was picked in the European draft this year.
Yeah, a guy who's found himself occasionally as part of that D-line rotation for Winnipeg, contributing on special teams as well.
German Bowl went earlier today overseas, and Andrew Harris picking up more yardage, and a great tackle by Enoch Mwamba. Well, Enoch Mwamba and Andrew Harris through the years have formed quite a rivalry. Mwamba, of course, was a Blue Bomber at one time, former #1 overall pick. These are two terrific athletes.
And see Andrew Harris, they're going down hard here, kind of hobbled back to the Blue Bomber huddle.
2nd and 4. You wonder if the Bombers might be a little more conservative, keep it on the ground. No, they'll go to the air. Darvin Adams close to the first down. See where the spot is, might be a little short. So it will be a decision. They had to get to the 34-yard line, so they're going to be about a half-yard short.
Yeah, the spot one that makes this decision an easy one for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, particularly given in the world of Canadian football, the defense has to be a yard off the ball anyway. You've got the advantage offensively in knowing the snap count, so certainly take your chances here even though you're in your own territory.
And up by 14. Strevler, he will be the guy. And Chris Strevler, you got to like your chances with a guy who typically runs the ball 10 to 12 times a game.
An easy find here for Strevler, looking for soft spot in the defense and finds it. Big thing for Chris Strevler in this fourth quarter is take care of that football.
Take care, build your lead, and hang on against this team that is getting used to coming back. Strevler once more. Chris Strevler close to another first down. There's a flag in the backfield. Holding Winnipeg
number 53. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
This one will go against the right guard, Patty Neufeld.
Chris Strevler played college ball as a receiver for a team called the Gophers and then a team called the Coyotes. Should have played for a team called the Wildcats. Because it's almost as if it's a Wildcat formation every time with this guy.
Well, like lining up a receiver or running back who happens to be able to throw the football.
This time, Chuckin throwing it over the top and picked off. Bo Lacombo. And you talk about a turning point right here. Never give up on these Alouettes. Back in it again. Ill-advised toss. Thought they'd keep it a little conservative. Strevler going over the middle, and Bo Lacombo was eyeing this.
Yeah, see, he's got two short crossers. He passes those up and looks for the deep cross, but with the safety sitting in the middle, I don't see that as where his read should take him. Safety sitting deep, take one of the underneath crossers. I know you need 20 yards for the first down, but seemed that one was forced a little bit.
Marcus Sayles coming on the blitz. Great play call. Jeremiah Johnson rumbles down to the 10-yard line. They knew that blitz was coming and waited until Johnson was free, and it's a first down, and it looks like the Alouettes are going to go first and goal. The Cardiac kids are beaten again.
And watch how Adams just buys himself a little bit of time as the blitz is coming from his left, so he continues to fade a little bit to his right just to buy enough time to keep the timing of that screen pass intact.
There it is once more. Adams throwing sidearm. Eugene Lewis was going to be stopped there anyway, so it's going to be second down. Full out blitz from the Blue Bombers.
Well, here's the referee's view as Tom Valesi saw the play.
Huge play coming up here. Right now, you got to think the Alouettes are also contemplating going 3 downs. 2-possession ball game. Like to get it to the house here. Adams goes end zone. Jump ball picked off again. It's getting crazy now. Chandler Fenner turns momentum again.
Pressure forces the bad throw here. Vernon Adams feeling the heat. Tries to force this one into coverage. Here you'll see it. 7-man pressure. Forces Adams to get rid of the ball in a hurry. Nice job by Rios coming from that right side to contain him, not let him out of the pocket. Forces him to throw rather than allowing him to scramble and buy time.
3 interceptions thrown by Vernon Adams in this second half. We're kind of getting a sense now of the perils of being a young quarterback and going after that first read all the time. Think about the picks from Strevler and from Adams. They were easy pickings.
Yeah, they're as good as they've both been at times, and Adams in particular over the course of this season. There's still going to be ups and downs as a young QB.
Might see Andrew Harris a whole lot more down these final 6 minutes. Not sure how much freedom Strevler and the offense are going to have to air it out.
Hey!
The big play chain is making the rounds on Thanksgiving weekend on the Winnipeg sideline.
I just want to take a look. The block here from the big right tackle. Jamarcus Hardrick on this play. He's pulling around the end. He gets a chance to get on a smaller guy, 35,
that's not
40,
fair.
And the takedown. Poor Greg Reed was way out of his weight class on that one.
That is not fair. Super heavyweight and a lightweight. It's Marcus Hardrick.
A guy who's really become one of the fixtures here in Winnipeg.
Loved.
That offensive line, former BC Lion. High energy guy.
Yeah, character. Strevler. 4:40 to go. Bombers look much more composed than they did in Montreal. Right now, 4.5 to go. Remember, though, it was the final 2.5 minutes when the Alouettes struck again. Boy, they just missed a glorious opportunity. Montreal did to make life miserable again for Winnipeg football fans.
Oh, they sure did. Bomber defense coming up big, as you know, as much as people will look at maybe the Bombers offense not scoring points in the second half, and particularly the fourth quarter of that ball game. You know, the defense feeling the heat after that one a little bit because they were unable to get the stops, and they've sure come up with them in the second half here today.
Stamps last night winning. Winnipeg trying to keep pace with Saskatchewan and Calgary. Nick Dembski on a sweep. Stays this way. Think about the West in the last few weeks. Winnipeg has Calgary twice. Still an opportunity to grab first. Really anybody's ball game to grab first place in the West. And that is so important. Home field advantage. And really just one win away from a trip to the Grey Cup if you get first in the West.
Yeah, any edge you can find. Obviously very significant. And especially when you start looking, Rod, at the home records of those top three teams, Calgary, Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg. There is little question that those teams would like to be on their home field.
Strebler sprung again. Breaks free. Time ticks down close to the 3-minute warning. In fact, it is the 3-minute warning here at Investors Group Field. The Blue Bombers a little more comfortable than they were 3 weeks ago. Looking like they're about to end this slump and join Calgary and Saskatchewan atop the West. 3 minutes to go. Winnipeg by 14.
Coming up at TSN Part 2 of our doubleheader, Mike Riley back to Commonwealth for the second time this season. This one much more at stake. The Lions need to beat the Eskimos just to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. That one is next. But first, let's go back to Winnipeg. Rod and Wayne.
Looking forward to watching the Lions and Eskimos coming up. Ending week 18 and then getting ready for week 19, and down the stretch we come. Blue Bombers in the stretch of this ball game. Another couple first downs, and they run kind of a wildcat formation that time, and a handoff this time to Strebler, who plays running back. Using a little creativity. Strebler's going to run. Well, they put Andrew Harris at quarterback.
Well, watch Jermarcus Hardrick this time as he lines up right behind that goal post, pulls around the end. This time, I think the Alouette defenders are ready for him. Bola Combo dropped the shoulder on the big fella.
Didn't like the way he handled some of the light guys earlier. Stop picking on them. Harris head on second down. The Bombers will kick. And will they punt or will they kick a field goal? The field goal would be about a 46-yarder. Looks like Strebler's staying in, so it will be a field goal attempt. 2:14 to go.
Well, indication of the confidence that Mike O'Shea has in Justin Medlock to try and extend that lead out beyond 2 possessions.
Thomas Miles is the long snapper. Again, the veteran Chad Rempel out of the ball game earlier. It's a good snap, and the hold's good. The kick is good. And the Bombers looking good right now. 34-17. Should be enough. I say should. Even last night in Toronto, we saw it come down to the wire.
A smooth operation here. Miles gets it back. Strebler gets it down. Justin Medlock, the model of consistency. Stroke on every kick is exactly the same.
Winnipeg team that under 2 minutes away from getting their 10th win. And then setting up a wild finish atop the West. Montreal will host a playoff game. First time in the playoffs since 2014. They'll be making some noise in the East. Hamilton likely to claim top spot in the East. Await the winner of a crossover game. Chris Strebler, a couple blemishes today, but all week long talked about the process, finding a way to finish. Looks like they have. Medlock boots it deep into the end zone. This time, Mario Alford gives up a single point. Right after this, Mike Riley's second return to Edmonton. He's hoping it's better than the first. Live Mike game coming up. Thanksgiving weekend. Buddy, this is the first year in a long time we're not feasting on that bird in Montreal. There is no Thanksgiving Day game on Monday.
Yes, the Montreal Seagull lives to see another day.
But we want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. All the football fans across Canada and United States, wherever you're watching. Got a lot to be thankful for, I'll tell you that. Gino Lewis, friends and family and football. What a year it's been in the Canadian Football League. We were chatting earlier today about how it's going to be so difficult to declare who is the most outstanding player. Maybe even in almost every category.
Yeah.
As the voting comes
wide
down.
open this season.
Vernon Adams, I'll tell you what, he's got a never say quit attitude. .134 to go, 35-17 the score now. Last time they played, we called it the miracle. This would be more than the miracle, as he just had to flip it out as Adam Bighill was bearing down on Vernon Adams. Teams will split this season series. And who knows? They could meet again. I will tell you, this derby for the Grey Cup right now, anybody's ballgame.
Well, that it is, and it's nice to be able to say that maybe more than any time in recent years that there's not a clear favorite, but rather a number of legitimate contenders.
Wenneke with another catch. And, you know, part and parcel of that is the kind of year it's been with injuries and quarterbacks who've had to step up in certain situations. Some who have done so well, others who haven't. A lot of backups who have become starters. Adams throwing, picked off Marcus Sayles, fumbled the football, and the Bombers have it. That will officially seal it.
This has maybe been the story of this second half for Vernon Adams. You'll see as he looks to his left here, the camera pans left. He had his running back, Jarvian Williams, in the game. He's open shallower on that swing route. Tries to push it to the deeper receiver, but there's a defender standing right there in Marcus Sayles to take that away.
Jonathan Kongbo ends up with the football, the 5th overall pick by the Blue Bombers in the draft after
I don't deserve that shit, man.
Sayles. I guess you score that. Interception, fumble recovery.
You see Marcus Sayles is reluctantly accepting the big play chain he was suggesting.
Do you give it over to Jonathan Kongbo now?
No.
That chain, by the way, that chain's been handed over a lot. It looks like it's a sale at a jewelry store today. Challenge from Kahari Jones.
Montreal is challenging the interception. We're going to review the play.
And you know, you kind of looked at it at the beginning. Did he really have the football?
Yeah, well, that's
so. Hang on.
Yeah, not so fast. Big play chain.
Big play chain. I think he had it. He had it. It's another Montreal turnover. So many of them coming in the second half. They've had the meltdown here in Winnipeg today. What a confidence boost.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers needed this one in a big way.
Suddenly you just start believing once more. Here is the ruling.
After review, the ruling on the field stands of an interception.
Again, we can't say enough about the hardy fans in Winnipeg who came out today. Even though the field looks all right, I'll tell you what, outside the stadium, it's a completely different story. It is a winter wonderland.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job in very short order getting the stadium ready for this ball game.
Roads very hard to maneuver. There are trees and power lines down everywhere. Andrew Harris looked like he fumbled the football. Montreal knocked that out. Again, an Alouette team that's just not quitting.
Well, with a couple of the comebacks they've had this season.
Why would you?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously spent a lot of time talking about their comeback against Winnipeg. That being the most recent and that being today's opponent, of course, but fantastic comeback in Calgary as well. And it has become a part of their identity, and they never really believe that they've lost the game.
Here it is. Where did it? Now it's really hard to see.
Yeah.
One thing you cannot come back from sometimes, though, is self-induced mistakes.
Yeah.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
I think Montreal is going to get the ball. Looked like it went off one of the Alouettes. Oh, look at that. With mistakes plaguing Montreal in this second half today.
Yeah, 8 Alouette drives in the second half, 5 of those concluding in turnovers. That from the notepad of today's statistician.
Statologist.
Yes, John the Angry Bird Perlberg.
Angry Bird bringing it today. I want to thank all of our production staff. Work week in and week out. Sacrifice their time away on Thanksgiving weekend. Bring you the sights and sounds. .55 to go. Biggest play certainly in the ball game. That Nick Taylor interception for the touchdown kind of changed things completely.
After review, Montreal was the last player to touch the ball before going out of bounds. It'll be Montreal's ball, 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line.
As suspected. Much time to rest there for Vernon Adams and the Alouettes. Unlikely that they're going to pull this one out, but I think it says a lot about the Alouettes too. And how the culture has changed. We've covered this team the last few years. We covered it when they were in their glory days. Then it got a little gory after that. Had some tough times. This is a team that is to be reckoned with. Completely different. Adams blocked once more. Was that Big Willie once more? I would, yeah, I'd say so. That's another knockdown.
It's a 13?
14 now. Is this Willie though? Let's just make sure. I would say, yeah.
I think Willie might have gotten a piece of that one.
Talk about the ultimate ball hawk, the ball condor, Willie Jefferson. Jarvion Williams touch. They'll go 3 down here.
And I mean, we talk about Willie Jefferson, and I know it's been said many times before, but you can't emphasize enough. You look at the size of the guy, that ridiculous wingspan, but in terms of athletic ability, this was a guy who was recruited to a Division I school, Baylor. That's where he started his college career. as a wide receiver. That's how athletic he is.
Oh, this is caught for a touchdown. Quan Bray brought that in. 32 to go. And they're going to run out of time, but they're going to make this very interesting.
Great block by Williams on Adam Bighill.
This could have been another pick. Quan Bray coming behind Nick Taylor. Been interference on both players.
Look at the intertwined arms of receiver and defender. Quan Bray ruled to be in possession as the ball crosses the goal line.
So they'll kick, and the Alouettes will try the onside kick. Eskimos and Lions standing by. Beatty's good. Not for the turnovers in this second half. Scoreboard could be a different story. I think a lot of it, though, you know, you can look at the turnovers 40, and you can also look at the Winnipeg D and the amount of pressure they put on Vernon Adams.
Yeah, I mean, they cranked it up, and this has kind of been the story. I mean, the fact that Winston Rose leads the Canadian Football League in interceptions with 8. Winston Rose has played great football, but this is also an indication of, you know, we'll give everybody up front credit because this is a team with a very good defensive front, but Willie Jefferson obviously is a guy that stands out and kind of keys the pressure for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You put pressure on quarterbacks, it's going to affect the accuracy of the throws. When the throws are inaccurate or rushed or what have you, they're going to make mistakes, and there are going to be opportunities for DBs to make plays. It involves everybody doing their jobs, and it's worked out well for that group and worked out especially well for Mike O'Shea's crew today.
The narrative will be different on the talk shows tomorrow. The headlines will be different. Bombers really a must-win here tonight in order to keep pace. Powers in the West. Beatty decides to boot one deep. They can sprint down and get on top of that. Don't even try to pick it up. That was a smart play that time. Quan Bray, Darvin Adams know each other well. A couple of Tigers.
Homecoming at Auburn.
Well, we could have given Willie Jefferson this just for the knockdowns and maybe the entire defense, but there is no doubt on who the Nissan Titan player of the game is. He carried a lot of bodies and carried the football a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the tone was kind of set on the first series of this ball game. First possession for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Andrew Harris carried the ball 4 times for 42 yards. Opening drive culminates with Harris running it in for a touchdown. The trend continued all day as you see Andrew Harris finishing the day with a career high. And that's saying something when you look at the career of Andrew Harris. Career high, 166 rushing yards, 24 carries for today's Nissan Titan player of the game, Andrew Harris.
Brought to you by the Nissan Titan, ranked #1 in quality by J.D. Power. 166 rushing yards. How many of those rushing yards do you think he was carrying players?
Well, yeah, yards after contact would be an impressive percentage of that total.
So Winnipeg gets ready for a crucial home-and-home with Calgary. The season will end on a bye. They'll have to wait it out. Saskatchewan and Calgary and Winnipeg, all with 10 wins apiece. Locked atop the West. When was the last time we saw something like that down the stretch? No comeback this time. Redemption for the Blue Bombers. They win 35-24. Andrew Harris romping today. Alouettes will fall to 8-7.
Back in the win column.
Willie Jefferson swatting balls and balls and balls all over the place. Lions and Eskimos coming up. The Bombers get the W over the Alouettes. Goodbye from Winnipeg. Here's Rod Smith.
Thank you, Rod. As you mentioned,